What's up guys, it's Zero here. Today we're talking about StarCraft 2 and the current state of the game. So let's get into it. So guys, in an article that is coming to us from Esports News UK, there is no StarCraft 2 esports tournament at IEM Katowice for the first time in event's 12-year history. So guys, the IEM Katowice tournament happened and it was only CSGO. And, or I should say CS2 is what was at IEM Katowice 2025. And it is crazy to think that StarCraft 2 was not there. And we're going to get to kind of the current state of the game and why maybe it wasn't there and what it means for the future. So Esports tournament organizer ESL Faceit Group has dropped the classic real-time strategy game from the IEM Katowice 2025 lineup, focusing solely on Counter-Strike 2 instead. In recent years, fans have been able to watch the StarCraft 2 finals at IEM Katowice and in the auditorium area, but this year that space is being used as an overflow area for fans unable to get a seat in the main Spodek arena. It will host a Radio Esca watch party instead. StarCraft is, of course, synonymous with early esports and the growth of competitive gaming. The Blizzard Entertainment game was first launched some 15 years ago, back in 2010 as a sequel to the 1998 original. While ESL have been running StarCraft 2 esports events prior to the first IEM Katowice, the Polish event has been well known for hosting SC2 finals over the years. So, look guys, here's the deal. StarCraft 2 has been around for a very long time, and it is, I believe, the real-time strategy game of our time. I believe it is that great. I think that StarCraft as a franchise has been absolutely incredible, from StarCraft 1, StarCraft 2, all the expansions, StarCraft Remastered, so on and so forth. But there has been a failure on Blizzard's part to really continue to service StarCraft 2. Whether we're talking StarCraft 3, whether we're talking another StarCraft 2 expansion, there has been a real failure there to create, continued content for StarCraft 2 for not only the fan base, but for the esports scene as well. I think you see that the numbers have gone down slowly but surely when it comes to the StarCraft 2, base of players that are continuing to play the game, and then that is also trickled into the esports scene as well. There is a real need for StarCraft to kind of get rejuvenated in the form of like having another, sequel, whatever the case might be. I feel like it's really important that those things definitely happen at some point. But when you look at CS2, I think CS2 is, what can you say? It is the one of, if not the biggest FPS on the planet currently. And so for them to, from a business perspective, it makes sense for ESL Faceit Group to decide to just do Counter-Strike 2 and then focus on having like the overflow area for fans for CS2 instead of having it for StarCraft 2, because it's so much bigger. CS2 is a much newer game, obviously. We had CSGO for so long, and then they decided to even update and upgrade that to CS2. We haven't gotten that in StarCraft. And so I think that there's a failure not only on Blizzard's part, but all these, tournament organizers are starting to see also like, well, why are we going to have a space for StarCraft 2 when these other games are making us so much more money and selling tickets and things of that nature? So I think it's a failure on a number of fronts, but it starts with Blizzard. StarCraft 2 is, of course, an old game, and its esports scene has been declining over the years. Katowice has been one of the last regular events for the game until now. Could a resurgence come in the form of a StarCraft 3 in the future? Time will tell. And I've been pounding the table, guys, for a long time, saying that StarCraft 3 needs to be made. Blizzard needs to make this title, and I don't know if they ever will. When I think about, World of Warcraft and Diablo and all these other titles that they're making that are, making them much more money than StarCraft 2 did, it's hard, from a business perspective for them to kind of move over to StarCraft, even though I think StarCraft 3 You could monetize it in a major way. You could continue to expand upon the world, the legacy, the lore that is StarCraft, with adding new races, adding, microtransactions around the different units and the different races and all of those different things to, create a very compelling atmosphere for, just casual StarCraft players and, esports enthusiasts alike. And so I just think that there's a real opportunity there for StarCraft 3 to, it's time. It's been time for them to make a StarCraft 3, but obviously at this point it looks like, Blizzard is looking into, other directions, other avenues to create, revenue for themselves. And I understand it from a business perspective, but I think they're really missing out on something here with StarCraft. The news comes as fans have been speculating on Reddit whether StarCraft 2 will return to IEM or not. ESL Faceit Group was formed in early 2022 when Savvy Games Group, owned by Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund, its government public investment fund, acquired ESL and Faceit. EFG also put on the first Esports World Cup last year, which featured StarCraft 2. It's not clear whether the 2025 Esports World Cup will include StarCraft 2 or not. We're in a real dire situation here, guys. There's no doubt. Before you know it, if it keeps going down this trajectory, StarCraft 2 is going to be, in terms of, from a esports perspective or a competitive perspective, it's going to be community-run tournaments only. There's not going to be any other of these large companies that are, or tournament organizers that are going to be putting on these tournaments before you know it. And it's really, really sad to see. I mean, StarCraft has been crushing it for so long, and it's time. We need to echo StarCraft 3 into existence. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it's way past time. We need to make our voices heard, whether it's through Reddit, social media, reaching out to the developers, the publishers, that we want this game made. Because if it doesn't happen, guys, I don't know when we're going to get the next great real-time strategy game. StarCraft, like I said, is the real-time strategy title of our time. I don't want to see it die. There's just so much that they could do with this franchise. And like I said, man, I really think it comes down to us as the community. This was really sad to see that StarCraft 2 wasn't going to be at IEM Katowice. Hopefully it's at the Esports World Cup. That'll at least keep it alive for a while longer. But I think it's time, guys. We as the community have got to come together and really, tell the developers what we want. And, I believe that our voices scream louder than you might think. When I think of different titles out there, like Dead Space, for example. Dead Space was a title, guys, a horror game that was created into a trilogy. The first two games were critically acclaimed. The third game was definitely a step in the wrong direction. But and obviously it was years upon years between Dead Space 3 to the current Dead Space we got, which was a remake. We were creating forums, we were, on Reddit, we were messaging the developers, the publishers, that we wanted another Dead Space continuation, whether it was a Dead Space 4 or a Dead Space remake or a remaster. We got a Dead Space remake in 2023. And so, I don't know what the future of Dead Space is going to be in, moving forward, but the fact of the matter is StarCraft is a much bigger franchise than games like, Dead Space and stuff. And so I just believe that we as the community, we stick together, we get this, we can get this thing made for sure. But I would love to hear your guys' thoughts about this. There's a lot to unpack here in the comment section down below. What do you guys think is the future of StarCraft 2 esports? This is a big, a massive moment, guys, but it's also like something that it's really sad, but it's definitely it's a reminder that we as the community need to get StarCraft 3, the ball moving here, and echo this thing into existence. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. And for more StarCraft 3 content and videos, keep it right here.